how many conferences were scheduled, how many parents came in, you know, compared to the total number, to see if, in fact, the conference schedule is something that we think is valuable enough to have 4 release days in a row and those kind of conversations. So certainly, you know, I'm well aware of a lot of that stuff, and as you probably know. Personally, you know, we're doing some data collection with the Washington, D.C. trip, you know, and I hope to come in December to talk to the committee further about that. We sent out a survey, and we're looking at a variety of different options with regard to that trip. It's an interesting piece that we can talk about next month. Certainly, we have had some great support from the Parents Association. You know, had some Travis Roy came to the middle school. Synergy Brass is going to come put on a concert for our holiday concert next in December. We had almost 100 students involved in Young Americans. Middle school is planning on administering a My Voice survey, which would talk to the students about how they feel about school, but that survey will also be given to faculty and parents as well. So that, again, more data for our data wall. There's a lot of interesting conversations going on with regard to, you know, the things that we're doing here in the middle school. So I think that the academic schedule is working very well. Class sizes are good. I think it's good.
I hear good reports on the academic side of things. I think it's obviously fortunate that we could add teachers and bring things back. But on top of that, I hear positive things about the environment at the school, the way problems are being addressed, the way situations are being handled. This has been an extremely positive, not that the past years have been extremely negative, but it's been an extremely positive year, I think. I've spoken to a lot of parents of middle school children. I happen to be a parent of a middle school child, and everything seems to be going well at the school. I don't know if anybody has any more comments, but very pleased with what's going on this year.
It's good to hear. You have to check out our new website, artsonia.com. Our art teacher, Jesse O'Brien, has put up a website, and we have several hundred pieces of student artwork on display.
So
it's really
Artsonia.
Yeah, artsonia.com. www.artsonia.com. I sent it home on all the daily news boards. It's really, you have to go see it. It's an unbelievable site. We're one of, I think, 9 schools in Massachusetts that are on the site. I think no, I'm sorry, that's not right. We're ranked 9th overall in the state. So it's really an amazing site. You have to go see all the artwork. It's really great.
And the daily notices are helpful.
Good.
You know, some of the stuff is repetitive, but there's usually something, 2 or 3 new things every day, and the other stuff serves as a reminder for your kids who are never telling you anything. So I think that's been very helpful.
Okay.
So at this time, we need a motion to accept the middle school improvement plan. Motion by Mr. Bowers.
Second.
Second by Mr. Vencia. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Look forward to seeing you in the spring-summer time frame.
See you next month.
Oh, that's right, about Washington, okay. Okay. Next, we'll get back to a few more items up there. With continued business, we have fiscal year 2010 budget development. Carl, I don't know if you want to guide us here.
Sure. I think that the intent of this item, agenda item, was to just recap the discussion we had a week ago, Monday, the joint meeting we had with the Board of Selectmen and the Finance Committee. As a result of that discussion, we're moving ahead with our plans for the FY10 budget. The finance goals keep changing, but let me briefly recap some of the information that was provided in conjunction with that meeting on Friday at the Finance Planning Team meeting. Mr. Messeri, the chair of the Selectmen, noted that the revenue projections for FY10 are continuing, and it appears at this point that the total new revenue expected for FY10 is in the vicinity of $600,000. In other words, when all the analysis is done of both the local sources and the state sources, Mr. Masseri and the town finance people are projecting about $600,000 of new revenues that can be adapted to the FY10 budget. So keep that figure in mind, $600,000. At the same time, to provide level services to general government, about $350,000 is needed. And to provide level services to the school department, about $1.3 million is needed. So we really need approximately $1.7 million to maintain level services for next year, when approximately $600,000 is available to us. So we're facing a difficult budget building process.
Carl, I think though to add to the problem is that $600,000 is basically going to be chewed up by employee health insurance, increases county retirement, and other retirement programs. So there really is possibly no money. And I just want to mention that that's being based on, we're projecting, or the selectmen are projecting right now, a 5% decrease in Chapter 70 and a 5% decrease in lottery aid. And I don't think that that's unrealistic, given other things that we've heard. I don't think projecting a drop in those is unrealistic. We're hoping that we can stay level funded from the state. But, so that's why the figures are so low at this time. Okay.
Yes, thank you. I was going to get to that because the portion of the budget that we call the infrastructure budget, or the fixed costs, we expect those to increase to the extent where it's going to eat up much of the new revenue that we're expecting to see next year. So given that rather pessimistic revenue forecast, we have to be responsible to start creating a budget that fits somewhat into that process. So when the school department manifests the FY10 budget to the school committee and the town community in mid-December, we're going to see some difficult choices. It's our intent to kind of create what I would call a level services baseline. In other words, this is what it costs to move forward on level services, and then a series of choices that need to be made to bring those level services down to whatever the ultimate revenue availability is. We won't need to make those decisions in mid-December, but we'll have to start discussing which of those difficult choices we want to move forward with. And some of the things we're looking at is, as we've noted before, making extracurricular and athletic programs more of a self-supporting situation, looking at the possibility of changing the school year, and no matter what we do, we understand that there's no way you can make up that kind of budget deficit without personnel changes and personnel layoffs. So that will certainly be part of our plan as well. So we're working hard at that now. We're undergoing a series of smart reorganization discussions at the Administrative Council bi-weekly sessions. We understand that there are going to be some aspects of our programming that's going to be very different, and it takes a while for people to wrap their head around doing something that radically different. And that's one of our challenges too, and that's attitude change. So that's a brief recap of the budget development for FY10.
Anybody have any questions or comments for Carl? All right. I'll load my questions and comments. And I do also, actually, before I ask my questions, David, do you want to just talk a little bit about, tell the public about your meeting with other superintendents and kind of what you're doing in that area to try, again, smart reorganization? I thought that might be helpful for the public to hear that.
Yes, a week ago, I actually called a meeting of the superintendents around North Reading, Andover, Linfield, Reading, and Wilmington, and invited them here to meet here in North Reading. And the whole focus is on how can we be better partners and collaborate to provide a quality public education for these surrounding towns. We're really not exploring regionalization in the true sense, but we are looking at ways in which, whether all 5 communities or whether 2 communities can provide services that we may be duplicating in our respective schools. Now, on a small example, for several years, we've had a collaborative wrestling team with Linfield. And we also have a collaborative girls ice hockey with Wilmington. Linfield and Reading share a swimming team. So the superintendents are looking at how to expand upon that and really mapping out from curriculum to transportation to, of course, with special ed, we're part of the collaborative anyway, but there may be other ways, to business services, to human resources, the hiring process. And we've agreed to meet again in a couple of weeks, but we're going to be very targeted. We're going to focus on technology. We're going to look at some business services, human resources, some very targeted areas. And our goal is, for this year, if we can come out with 1 or 2 or 3 different areas and then make it work. We think in the long run it will be beneficial, not just to education, but to smart business practices.
I know that Selectman Chairman Morsari is also meeting with chairman of other boards of selectmen from surrounding areas also to discuss similar issues on the town side. And I think we have to reach out and do that. I guess my comment or question, though, my comment first is, so everybody knows, our level services budget is based on a 6% increase, and that basically takes into account what we expect the step raises to be for all of our employees in, negotiated increases, cost of living increases, and also the small increase that we have in our building budgets, our different school budgets. That essentially accounts for that 6%. Given that the majority of it is personnel, it's not like something that we can go back in and say, okay, let's only grow 2% next year. Because as Mr. Nelson just said, when we say that, that normally means reduction in staff. And so that's why we're trying to be creative in reorganizing. And as Mr. Nelson said, it's a matter of getting people to understand what we're trying to do in that area. I guess my question is, in terms of building a level services budget, looking and hearing everything we've heard, I think it's highly unlikely that we're going to be able to accomplish that for next year. So I guess the goal is to just say, here's everything we're going to have, and now how do we go about either moving it around or mushing it together or taking it out to fit whatever amount of money we have? Is that really?
Yes, I mean, in many ways, the level services budget is a template that we can use from which to make reductions from. I hate to say it in such stark terms, but I think that's what we're doing. You need to start from something. And the level services budget document will contain a lot of budget detail, from clubs and activities, to special education, to office supplies, to technology, to school expenses. So as we examine that level services budget, we make determinations for what will not be level services next year.
We've probably done this 6 out of the last 8 years.
Right.
Am I
Right.
right?
We had the
We've
level
taken
right.
what we considered a level services budget, and we've reduced it, and we've made cuts. Not always necessarily resulting in layoffs, but certainly resulting in increased class size, resulting in fewer positions through attrition, additional fees. We've done all of that. I would say, except for the year we had the override, probably last year, we've had to make those types of reductions from level services budgets. So if the revenue's not there, there's only a couple of options: make the cuts or go out and try to raise the additional revenue through a debt exclusion or an override.
Right. And I guess we'll be able to, so if we have that level services budget, and then we start, some of our cost-cutting ideas are easy to quantify. For example, if we were end up saying, sports are going to be 100% fee supported, that's pretty